Look at Kamae and the idea of Kamae and some applications, and then discuss a little bit about Kamae and how we practice and train them. So the first Kamae that we'll look at is Ichimonji, right? So when we first learn Kamae, we're learning just what is the Kamae, right? What is it? Where do you put your hands? How do you stand? You know, what is it called? And so on. The first one we'll look at is Ichimonji. So generally, the idea of Ichimonji is your feet are in line, okay? Thus the name Ichimonji. Monji means like a number, right? The character. Ichi is the one's referring to, so first character. And in Japanese, Ichi, or the number 1, is just a dash, like a little line. So the idea is that my feet are in line with each other. Now, it doesn't mean that, one common mistake I see with Ichimonji is this foot is too far, your balance is going to be off. I usually teach it to where you turn your foot sideways and then go straight back on that line. So my feet are in line with each other. Now it's important whenever you're standing in Ichimonji that your weight is not on your heels. You'll lose your balance right on your heels. The majority of your weight, even though your heels are not up, you're not bouncy, so to speak, the majority of the weight is on the ball of the feet. So there's, 60% of the weight is on the ball of the feet. Okay, your arms are usually up this way. There's different positions for the arms. Basic position is this. Now this is like a static position done this way, but really Ichimonji is not about being static. You're moving. An application that I usually show for Ichimonji is this hand. Once I start showing people the application, turn this hand around. And yes, you can hide things in your hand or whatever, covering, but I like to use this hand this way, the rear hand, just to kind of guard. And my lead hand is really, it's kind of like an indicator of the distance. Depending on my distance, how close I am, where they're at, is going to determine, what I can really do. Isabella, if you don't mind, get my daughter Isabella to help out. So let's say just stand like a street guy, whatever, street boxer. So from here, if we're in range, she can hit me, I can hit her. Okay. So already with Ichimonji, I'm kind of blading my body. My leg is back a little bit further, not too far. I want to still be able to move. And again, I want to be on the more of the ball of my feet. And I'm kind of leaning back a little bit. And this is judging the distance, and this one is protecting. So let's say if I didn't have my arm out, if she threw like a back fist, this hand is able to kind of check and help me move a little bit. So this hand should be a little freer. It shouldn't be static in this frozen position. We're kind of like this. I'm coming in. I'm using this as a gauge, right? And I'm leaving my head back. I want to give the feeling that I'm out of range. I'm kind of sneaking my lead foot in. If I'm straight, like vertical over my foot, obviously she knows when I get in range that when she can hit me, right? But if I'm leaning back and I'm blading my body and I'm using this to kind of gauge the distance, maybe not even leaving it out the whole time, but just using this to gauge the distance, I can kind of sneak inside with my foot. And this isn't too much of an alarm right away. But once I'm here, look, my foot's already really close. I'm already within range, okay? So it kind of throws them off a little bit. And my lead hand is my indicator on when I'm in range to where I can do something, right? I don't have to wait for them. A lot of times when we do our techniques, we're here, we're waiting for the punch, we're doing blocks and things like that, and that's great. We're learning, we're training. But you can also initiate, because obviously if you're already standing like this, you're in the encounter. Okay? So we're coming in, I'm trying to judge my distance. Once I can reach right within her hands, I know I'm in distance, right? So we're coming in, right when I get within here, I might open her up to come in with my strike. Whether I'm coming in with a fudoken, coming in with a shuto, right? Whatever your attack is gonna be. It could even be with, you know, a kick. I'm here, open them up, and then do a kick. And it can be either hand, right? And this could also be trying to irritate them, to get them to move. So maybe I'm slapping her hands this way and trying to force her to do something, maybe even like a jab. So I'm here and I'm doing this, it irritates her, she throws a jab, and no, a jab. And then I'm able to slip and come in, right? So that's something else too. Or I actually pin the arm and attack kinkudaki. This is a form of kinkudaki. You know, when we see this a lot, sometimes, you know, in boxing, right? So people are on the ropes, they're guarding their head, they have nowhere to go, and the boxer's just, you know, tearing away at them, and it doesn't do anything because they're wearing the gloves, right? But when you don't wear gloves, this is really not the best idea for guarding your face. You know, she would be better off opening her hands, tucking her head, and doing this here versus putting your knuckles to your face, okay? So someone guarding, if I'm pushing this hand down, now I can strike the arm, and whatever strike I'm hitting with, this is a form of kinkudaki too. So that's kind of the idea, some of the applications of ichimonji. Another application I like, we were talking about kinkudaki, is kinkudaki doesn't have to be with the rear hand, right? If I'm here and let's say she does a strike with this hand, I don't have to block and then hit with this hand. I like to do my kinkudaki, start it, just a block with this one, right? But then hitting with this hand here on the inside to jakin, to the muscle, right? So we're here and here, then coming in and doing whatever we're gonna do. So ichimonji, staying in line, leaning back, using this hand to guard, judging the distance, here, attacking, here, coming in, attacking. So for me, ichimonji is about blading and kind of sneaking in and using my arm and my foot as a measuring stick, so to speak. Another kamae that we can talk about briefly is kose. So kose, the way that we introduce it, is typically a little more lead heavy, right? The weight is a little bit more on the lead leg. Not quite like a karate forward stance, but similar to where the weight is forward. I have one hand high and one hand low. You can have, you know, closed, open, one closed, you know, shikanken, whatever you want. I just kind of like this idea. And one is guarding the higher area, one's guarding the lower area. This, before we've talked about, can also be a bait, right? To where if I'm here and I stay guarded, I can go to kose to open up my ribs to lure them in for like a kick. So it would be easy for me to catch, right? Let's do that really quick, Isabella. Let's do switch sides. So we're in kose, you know, I'm moving around and I'm giving her this opening to where she comes in maybe with a roundhouse, and I'm able to catch and come in and throw, strike, right, or whatever. So here to the ribs, it's open, here catch, come in and do a thrower technique. So kamae is also giving them the options, right, of what their options are. And then knowing the stance that you're standing in and what openings you're giving them is going to give you a little bit of an advantage. You can also use kose for like a structure base. Let's switch sides. If let's say they do like a tackle, right, or a double leg. As they come in, I'm in kosei. I can use my hands in kosei to frame on the shoulder, and then control the head, right? Because where the head goes, the body goes. Knee, right? Things like that from there. Okay. So another kamae we could talk about would be hicho. If you guys have any questions too as we go along, just throw those out, and I'll try to answer. Do we have any questions yet? Yeah. Okay. What do we have?
Can you explain the weight distribution between the front foot and the rear foot when standing in ichimonji?
Okay, so just to try to understand, so in ichimonji, most of the weight is on the rear legs, kind of 60-40, right? And that's just because I'm keeping my head back. But on the feet, the weight is 60-40, 60% on the ball of the foot. The heel is lighter, right? So it's 60% more on the rear leg, right? And 60% on the ball of the foot. You can practice 50-50, right? That's fine too. But the way that we practice and I introduce it is 60%, because I like to kind of use this again as a measuring stick, trying to keep my head back a little bit. You can tuck your chin, that's fine. But if I have this hand guarding my face here, right, I can kind of keep my vision up. Not too high, I don't want to expose my chin, but I can keep my vision, parallel. So most of the weight is back and just trying to sneak in. I hope that helps. If you have any other questions, just go ahead and ask. Any other questions? No? Okay, good question. Okay, so that was kosei. Yeah, so we'll look at hicho. For the way that we introduce hicho, we introduce in the basic way, the posture, the strike, block, you hit, turning the foot and stepping forward with a shuto. But later we look at applications, right, which is what the whole point of this video is, to discuss applications. I like to use the hicho. Everyone sees this all the time, like in MMA and Muay Thai, they call it a knee shield, but it's just a little different on this side. So if I am in ichimonji, right, and I'm using this one as a judge, right, of the distance, what's exposed? For sure, my thigh is exposed, right? And if I'm here and she does a good thigh kick, right? If I take 1, 2, even possibly just the one kick to the thigh, if she has a solid kick, I'm out. It may drop me like a sack of potatoes. So I need to be able to guard that. So I'm not a Muay Thai guy, but from what I understand, they do the knee shield to where when the kick comes in, they raise the leg and they point the toes down. We utilize hicho for this, right? If I'm in ichimonji and just like do the kick but leave your foot there, right? This is where her targeting is going to. If I step up to ichimonji, my knee is right exactly where she's at. And I'm not lifting my knee straight. I'm lifting this at an angle and I'm pointing my toes up. I'm not pointing my toes down. Come here for a second. Put your hand on my shoulder. I need your leg. Bring it up. So if you look at your leg, turn this way. Up. On the side right here of your knee, if she points the toes down, right, there's a muscle here. Bring your toes up. That muscle expands. Right? Might be kind of hard, right? But yeah, this muscle right here expands. And your muscle's kind of like your armor. So that's going to help you a little bit. You do need to condition your shins. We do shin conditioning just to show this is what we do for shin conditioning. So we practice this, and it's new people really hate this, but the idea when you do your shin conditioning is you point your toes in and you hit shins together. I see a lot of people when they do shin conditioning, they point their feet straight. You're just hitting your calves. You actually want to hit bone on bone, and after a while you'll get a little more conditioned. So it's not just the muscle. I mean, you do need a condition just in case. But the goal is stepping up to hicho for their foot to run into your knee, okay? So if I'm in Ichimonji and she goes for that tie kick here, she's running right into my knee, okay? Next part of it, I'm still doing the full Hicho Kata in that, let's switch sides. Then when she does the kick, here, boom, and then strike, and then come in with the shuto, right? So my foot is pointed and ready to where I can still return fire. So I'm not just up and down. I'm up, block, return kick, return fire, put the foot down, and still come in and do a shuto to strike. So in that case, the kata, or the kihon, isn't changed. My movement is exactly the same. The only thing I'm doing to change, to do an application, is to change her attack from a punch to a low line leg attack. And then so you're able to still use the technique. Any other questions? No? Okay. That's kind of covering some of the basic general idea. Ichimonji, Kosei, Hicho. Tons of other postures. But that should kind of give you a basic idea. And I'll leave you with this. In the Tenshijin, Hatsumi Sensei's Tenshijin, the handwritten Tenshijin in Japanese, when it talks about Kamae, each Kamae, it's lists the Kamae, a short, very short description, and then little drawings. But then it says things like do, ukemi with it, right? And it lists different ukemis and natural movement, natural ukemi. It lists to do the Kamae from Jodan, Chudan, Gidan. So high, mid-range, low, maybe on your knees or whatever. It also lists to do Kion Happo with each Kamae. So you're using the Kamae in each of the Kion Happo. But it also says Goshin no Kata, or Goshin Go Kata. I think it's Goshin no Kata. And a lot of people have asked me, well, what is the Goshin no Kata? That's one of the aspects, right, of Sanshin no Kata. It doesn't list anywhere in the Tenshijin. It does not say Sanshin anywhere. So that name is kind of a nickname or a name that Hatsumi gave. The Sanshin is listed, when you see the Sanshin listed in the Tenshijin, it says Shoshin Go Kata, then underneath it says Go Gyo no Kata, and then underneath that it's Goshin no Kata. Shoshin Go Kata is referring to, all of these three things are the mindset, how you train those forms. The first mindset is the introduction. It should be deep stances, what is a shuto, what is a kamae, training the legs, extremely large movements, exaggerated movements, really developing the body and understanding what the technique is. And then the Gogyo no Kata is not quite as deep. It's still a good, strong stance, but you're learning to move the upper and the lower body together in unison. And then the last phase of the three mental perspectives of training is the Goshin. The Goshin is the enlightened forms. So this is doing it, all those movements from different positions, sitting down, standing up, in a chair, in your car, any position you can think of, pinned against the wall, all of these different things from different environments, different positions, right? So in the Kamae, when it says, do ukemi, do natural movements, do the torite, Kion Happo, and then it says Goshin no Kata, it's talking about using these Kamae from all of those things and also applying we usually refer to them as the Gogyo no Kata. So I hope that helps. Just an idea on applications of Kamae. Learn them in the beginning static, introduce them that way. But then as you train, start putting them into different positions, opening up and seeing, playing with different ideas and seeing what really works. Do a little bit of sparring with them, play around and see how you can fit them in and discover some of these things for yourself. I hope that helped out. Any other questions, please let us know. Follow us on Facebook, the facebook.com Pasadena Martial Arts. And you can also reach me through the school number 713-562-1605. If you have any questions, send me a text and just say, hey, this is so-and-so, saw the video and I have a couple questions. All right, guys, you have a great night.